Okay, let's proceed to next questions from the floor. Hi, Dr. Mark. I have a customer, a man, 40 years old, been consuming one sachet a day, and he has been having headache for the past 2 months. When he was around the 1 month mark, he felt his tricar, okay, tricar pain for around 3 to 4 days. Then
Yeah,
it
what
turns
pain?
fine.
He felt
Tricar, trachea,
trical.
yeah, trachea,
Oh,
yeah,
trachea.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
trachea.
Uh-huh.
Okay, for around 3 to 4 days. Then it turned fine. But for the headache, he had no pain when he's not consuming CellAge. Then headache comes again when he consume CellAge Glass. Okay, may I know what would it be the possible cause? What would be the possible cause?
Hmm.
The questions.
That one's a mystery to me. The thing that I would do, being trained in chiropractic and osteopathic, is I would first look at aligning the cervical spine and especially the atlas. And when you're increasing circulation, it may create more pressure on the nerves there. That's the only thing I can imagine. Um, I would cut back and cut back to where you aren't having the headaches anymore, but I just can't imagine unless you're allergic to something in it, but I just can't imagine what that would be. Um, yeah, it's just increasing circulation to your brain. I would really look at getting a cervical alignment and seeing if that didn't resolve the pressure. If it's a pressure headache or if it's a particular part of your head or where it's located. Um, one thing we found, we did a study, an Alzheimer's study with some of the ingredients, and we at Emory University School of Medicine, and found that this particular product, the ingredients can um, protect the brain cells from neurotoxins and even regenerate cells in the brain. So I hope you're not a smoker because it could be detoxing and it may take a while before your headaches dissipate. If it's a detox, then you may need to cut back to an amount where you don't get the headaches. And if they continue, you'll just have to stop. It could be an allergy to something in there that's impossible to determine what it is. So, yeah, that's all I can imagine on that.
All right. Okay. Let's go to the next. How does CellAge Plus help leukemia patient? A 10-year-old child who has completed chemotherapy last December.
Well, with leukemia, Dr. Steele says best not to risk it. What's interesting about leukemia is many times they treat leukemia with bone marrow transplants, and that's stem cells, because with leukemia, they usually use chemo or another drug to totally kill the cells. I mean, it's just like devastation. It's like warfare against the cells. You really need to regenerate the cells, but you may need to make sure that particularly white blood cells, I guess, in leukemia, that they're not multiplying too much again, because this product will increase cell production and it'll feed. The great thing about it is, and I have to say this over and over again, and Dr. Steele and I, I'll admit, we disagree on this. She says, no, best not to try leukemia. My experience would say yes, especially after they've had their treatment. You've got to rebuild those cells. You've got to regenerate cells because they've been killed, so many of them. And I just feel that it would help, but I can't say. Leukemia is a very, it's a very complicated um, situation. And it's almost impossible to say that if you're increasing your white blood cells again, if they're healthy cells or if they're more the unhealthy cells, like in leukemia. So she says no. Afterwards, down the road, you're eating food. I mean, you can't say, hey, you can't eat food because you're going to create more cells in your body. But this is a very strong cellular regenerator. And so it may be contraindicated in leukemia. I'll just have to give her expertise, the benefit of the doubt there, and follow her to say not with leukemia. But down the road, I just can't imagine why not whenever the child's healthy and clear of the leukemia.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Mark. Next question. I keep having constipation after CellAge Glass. What is the cause and what should I do?
For one, make sure you're drinking plenty of water, okay? Because even the wheatgrass in there takes water, it reconstitutes. And these are dry herbs, so you need to make sure you're taking a lot of water throughout the day. You know, I'm just the opposite. When I take it, I feel very regular. I mean, even more regular than normal. And I've heard that from many, many people. I can't imagine. The only thing I would say, and I may be wrong, but you need to make sure you're getting plenty of fluids. You've got to dilute it. You know, it could be too dry. You've got to keep the moisture, keep it moisturized. You know, keep it liquefied, because it is a dry powder. You know, that's why I mix it with a smoothie in the morning. You know, I use either rice milk or coconut milk or something like that. Soy milk occasionally, but soy milk isn't the best thing, particularly if it's not organic. But and then I usually follow with a good glass of water too, and then throughout the day, make sure you're getting enough fluids. That's a real key. Other than that, I don't know why it would constipate. Because there's some fiber in there, there's insoluble and soluble fiber, and one of the ingredients actually is for constipation. So I just think you really need to look at, you know, the amount of fluid you're intaking. And keep in mind, like I said, the ingredients in there are going to take water out of your body, and that could dry you up some. So be sure and drink plenty of fluids. It's not a solid food. It's not like eating an apple instead of eating apple powder. You know, the apple has lots of juice in it, or an orange, you know, instead of just eating, or berries, you know. Even the berries are going to take some moisture out of your body. So that's key. Okay?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Mark. Okay, next we have a friend. His name is Ben. He would like to ask some questions. So Ben, are you ready? Can you unmute your mic?
Hi, doctor.
Hi, Dr. Mark.
Yes.
Hi, Dr. Mark. I got this symptom, my cold sweat, after consuming CellAge. But before that, right, before I consumed CellAge, I'm a Usana. I took Usana as my healthy product, you see. So I took Usana multivit. So when I stopped my Usana multivit for 2 weeks, then only I start consume the CellAge, which is 2 sachets per day. Then after I consume CellAge, I have this cold sweat symptom. Then I try to reduce my CellAge to 1 sachet per day on the 3rd week and the 4th week, but I still have this cold sweat symptom. Am I allergic to CellAge, or is it a normal symptom for me when I consume CellAge?
Well, that's an interesting one. Cold sweats. That's usually, what age are you?
Sorry?
What age? How old?
40.
Oh, yeah, you're young. Cold sweats. I would say the cold sweat, usually a sweat is to cool the body. You know, you're burning something there. You're kind of building a little heat in the body, and it may just be the heat from the herbs that's burning something in your body. I think it would moderate with time, but you may just, if it's uncomfortable, then you may need to just cut back. I haven't heard of anybody getting cold sweats. Have you, Dr. Amy? I really haven't heard cold sweats other than maybe a fever. And when somebody has a fever, they can sweat. That's what your body, that's what sweat's for, is to cool the body. That's why when you do a sauna, if you're not doing infrared, which is wonderful, instead of regular saunas, it's just heating the outside of the body, and the body's creating sweat to cool the body. Whereas infrared is different. It's penetrating into the tissues, and that gets toxins out. But, I have one on my porch here. I use it regularly. But, yeah, it's there may be something there with the thyroid. It may be activating your thyroid. Are you a smoker?
No,
Good.
I stopped my alcohol consume as well.
I'm sorry?
I didn't drink alcohol for 2 years already. So,
Great.
but surprisingly, right, after I stopped CellAge, then I moved back to Usana, right? Then I don't have these symptoms. So I'm suspecting there's a drug contained in the Usana multivit. So that's what I'm thinking on it.
You say you do sauna?
No. When I stopped the CellAge, then I moved back to Usana. The multivit.
Usana.
Yeah.
Vitamins.
Then I don't have this cold sweat symptom. So I'm suspecting there's some drug in the Usana, which is I have to eat.
Interesting. Well, I just don't know which sauna products you're taking, so I wouldn't be able to evaluate that. But I would just say with this, we know we don't have any drugs in ours. That's for absolute sure. Every one of our ingredients is the highest quality we could find in the world. And so, yeah, I would just say that there's some heating herb inside there for your body. Maybe the curcumin. It may be, what else could it be? That's pretty much what I would imagine it being. Is just, it's either creating a detox and your body's heating up, or it's a heaty herb in there that your body just doesn't respond well to. But I would just cut back on it as much as possible until you don't have that cold sweat, and then just build back up again.
Mm-hmm. But how long does a detox process will take, Because I've been consuming the CellAge for a month, but I still have this symptom. But first I thought it's detoxing my body or something like that.
Detoxing can take years. What happens is many people think, well, I'm detoxing, and so I should be fine afterwards. We have so many layers of toxins in our body. Many people refer to it as an onion. You peel off one layer, and there's another layer. You peel off one layer, there's another layer. And then we get into toxic metals, which can be deep in the tissues, and those can take ages to get rid of, unless you're doing something like chelation. And people who have been smoked, people who've been around smokers, or been taking aluminum, or eating out of aluminum, or aluminum underarm deodorants, or you name it, the different toxins, different ways we're exposed to toxic metals. And it can take years sometimes to get them out of our system. And the key with detox is, if it's uncomfortable, then you just have to cut back. Slow it down. It doesn't have to happen, and it's not going to happen overnight. So you just have to slow down to where it's comfortable, but know that that's the process that's going on in your body.
So doctor advice, should I reduce the sachets to half sachets per day? Because I tried 1 sachet per day, right? It still have the symptom. So your advice to be reduced to half sachet?
Yeah, I would. I'd do that for a while, see if you still have the same effect. And do drink a lot of water. Make sure you're hydrating. Very, very important.
Okay. Thanks for your advice, doctor.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, let's go to next questions. Can CellAge Plus help on sinus, running nose, and sneezing symptoms?
What was that?
Sinus.
No. I will say this about sinus. Two things you have to look at right off the bat is you have to eliminate dairy products and you have to eliminate wheat. Okay, that's so important. One thing is, you're having somewhat of an allergic detox reaction that's going on with the sinuses and such, and you need, of course, smoking. You can't do that with sinus problems. That's just exasperating the whole situation, which I assume you don't. But dairy products, all the dairy products and wheat, you just got to stop those. Those are two mucus-forming foods, okay? And that's what sinus is all about. But the great thing about that can also be inflammation of the sinuses. And we have the inflammatory herbs in there, which can reduce that. So it could definitely help, yeah. And it's going to improve your digestion, so that you can metabolize. If you are doing dairy and wheat, you may be able to metabolize it better. You're going to be able to reduce the leaky gut syndrome and possibly reduce that allergic reaction. Because that's what mucus is, that's your body trying to get rid of something. It's like one of the best virus fighters in the world is our mucus, because it's flowing out. It's getting rid of it. That's what it's all about. It's eliminating.
All right. Okay, thank you. Next, how can CellAge Plus help on glaucoma?
Glaucoma?
Yep.
Glaucoma is an interesting disease, and the great thing about CellAge Plus is it's a cellular regenerator, and it's an anti-inflammatory. And many times glaucoma is a result of those two: degeneration and also inflammation. And so by reducing the inflammation and regenerating the cells, it could be very beneficial for glaucoma. Now, macular degeneration, that's a whole nother situation. Sometimes macular degeneration can be an actual, never mind, we don't get into that because we're talking about glaucoma. So, yeah, and there's some herbs too for glaucoma, and I would add those, like bilberry and things like that, elderberry, bilberry. And there's some other herbs which are beneficial for glaucoma. You can increase your bioflavonoids even more. So, but this product would be fantastic. I think it could really help improve glaucoma.
All right, thank you, Dr. Mark. Next, how can CellAge Plus help on hemophilia? Hemophilia.
Yeah. Well, hemophilia is interesting because a lot of that's dietary. A lot of it has to do with enzymes, intrinsic factors, things like that. And you need to build the blood. That is the key. And what is the blood? The blood is cells, right? That's what it is. It's plasma, red blood cells, and you've got to rebuild those cells. And you've got to have the right nutrients to do that. Now, this product may not necessarily help with anemia significantly, because there's not that much iron in there. There's not that much folic acid. There's not that much B12, if it's something of that nature. But with hemophilia, it's a blood disorder. And that's where you have to look at rebuilding the blood. And those are cells, and that's what our product is all about. It's a pure cell food. In fact, a couple of ingredients in there, Dr. Steele and I patent as a cell food, because we've proven how it feeds the cells at Johns Hopkins Medical University in her lab, how it's a pure cell food. And that's the key. So it's going to be very, very beneficial.
All right, thank you, Dr. Mark. Next questions. Can a patient who is suffering with severe sclerosis take CellAge Plus?
What kind of sclerosis?
Severe serious sclerosis.
Sclerosis or
Yeah.
cirrhosis?
Yeah.
Sclerosis or
Yeah.
cirrhosis?
Sclerosis.
Serious.
Sclerosis.
Serious sclerosis.
Correct.
What kind of sclerosis? There's many, many different kinds.
He didn't mention here.
Uh,
Okay, maybe we can ask from the floor. Yeah,
well, I can say this
severe.
about sclerosis.
Skin.
Huh?
Skin sclerosis.
Sclerosis, yeah. That's inflammation. You know, one thing I've got phenomenal results with sclerosis is detox. And one of the best things is far infrared sauna. You know, I would get one for your home just right off the bat. Sclerosis is an inflammatory condition, is what my understanding of it is. And we've had great results by detoxing, keeping the colon clean, make sure you're getting plenty of fluids. You know, you need to keep everything flowing there. And acid-base balance, make sure you're alkaline, you know, really look at your diet there. But where it's beneficial is they're again anti-inflammatory. One of the main purposes we had for this product, immune system, anti-inflammatory, and cell regeneration. You know, those were the keys. Hormonal production, antioxidant production. All of those factors we put into this formulation because those are the key with health, regeneration, and getting the bad toxins out, and also lowering the inflammation in the body. So, so important. As I mentioned earlier, I think probably every metabolic disease for sure has an inflammatory source and cause. So you've got to lower it. And our product is phenomenal for inflammation in that respect. And feeding the cells, you know, wonderful for skin tone. The great thing about this product, we did one study with Dr. Perricone out of New York City. He was like #1 bestseller for years. He had his own TV show on beauty. And he used our product, not the CellAge Glass, as one of the original products that's part of this product. And he showed how he could reduce the wrinkle lines, and he actually called it beauty from within, you know, because it was so wonderful for being able to take this and regenerating the skin. So, but you know, that's so important. You need to reduce the inflammation. You need to get the toxins out for sclerosis. I hope it's not too painful, but the sclerosis, but you know, it can be a very debilitating condition.
All right, thank you, Dr. Mark. Okay, last two questions. The
Yep.
second last. For a customer with high cholesterol, what are the healing crises that we could advise customer to observe or beware of?
Well, it doesn't say how high the cholesterol, right?
High cholesterol.
Doesn't say how high. Okay, let me say this about cholesterol. You know, we know people who are high 200s, 300s in cholesterol. Well, that's the gauge in America. I think it's a little different here. They use a different DL. But anyway, the high cholesterol isn't what's killing people. It's the inflammation. That's why I'm saying, you know, you can have high cholesterol and live with it. And then you need to look at your HDL versus your LDL. You know, you've got to have higher HDL because those are your beneficial. And you produce cholesterol in the body. It's not, everybody thinks, oh, I can't eat cholesterol foods. Oh, you know, they're so bad. You produce more cholesterol in your body than you could probably ever eat. So, but it's a matter of the good cholesterol versus the bad cholesterol, and the EPOs and lipoproteins and things of that nature. And with high cholesterol, it may not be a problem, you know, unless, you know, if you get really high, 300s, 400s, 500s, my gosh, yes, you really need to work on that. Of course, you have to look at your diet, what you're doing that may be increasing your cholesterol, but it's the inflammation which creates the problems with high cholesterol, which results in the conditions that high cholesterol leads to, you know, the atherosclerosis, the, you know, heart disease, and everything of that nature. So, you know, cholesterol and high blood pressure pills are probably the biggest seller in the world right now. Next, I think Viagra now, one of those. Cialis and all those are probably number one, but because there's so many of them out there today. Even the natural, libido increasers, about 95% of them have the sildenafils in them or tadalafils or something like that. So they're all drug oriented. But anyway, so I don't think you'll experience any side effects by lowering your cholesterol. Only side benefits. Yeah, I think it could slowly drop. Really look to at your diet, what you may be eating. And the great thing about it is, as you improve liver function, your good cholesterol is going to increase. I'll tell you this another story, our greatest stories. I guess as we get older, we tell more stories, right? Anyway, I was lecturing at an anti-aging conference in Bangkok, many years ago, probably 20 years ago, and put on by probably the foremost anti-aging doctor in all of Asia, Dr. Cyan. He's now one of the top researchers. In fact, he's the Surgeon General for Thailand. He's number one physician and researcher in Thailand. Anyway, he was having this conference. He's a good friend of mine, and he had the representative for Asia, Southeast Asia, from Pfizer on there, talking about how if you have high HDL cholesterol, you're going to have it for life. There's nothing you can do. God has determined if you have low cholesterol, you're going to have low cholesterol for life. It says no drug's going to raise that. It says our drug will lower your overall cholesterol. So what? Anyway. So I got to lecture on after him, and we had just finished this big study at Cho Ray Hospital in Vietnam with the doctors and the nurses as participants in the study, over 100 of them. We started off at 300, but 200 of them dropped out because they were just too busy. They just couldn't deal with it. Well, they couldn't take the product on a regular basis. So anyway, we ended up with 109 of them. And we raised their HDL significantly and lowered their bad cholesterol, the VLDL and LDLs. And so I showed the research in the study. It was a beautiful PowerPoint, and all the research behind it. And I walked off the stage afterwards, and he was just fuming. He was so angry because he had just said, "You have HDL, low HDL, you can't increase it. God is determined, So anyway, our product does that as well. We can raise your good cholesterol and have your liver functioning better, where it produces more of the good cholesterol and you're not consuming so much of the bad. But watch your oils, watch your processed oils. Don't worry about coconut oil, it's not going to, good coconut oil. I mean, if you process it and it's hydrogenated, and, use it over and over, it can create problems. Same with palm kernel oil, if you have really good pure palm kernel oil, it can be fantastic. The problem is they saturate it, they hydrogenate it, they make it where your body can't break it down properly and use it. So it hardens it, So anyway, that's very, very important that you improve your liver function and lower your inflammation. Those are the keys with cholesterol and heart disease. Okay.
Okay, last question. Can a cancer patient consume probiotic after his chemotherapy?
Probiotic.
Probiotic. Prebiotic.
Oh, well, they consume every day when they eat food. Everything. So many of the foods you eat are prebiotics, insoluble fibers, the fibers, the microbes. I mean, that's like saying, no, you can't eat kimchi. No, you can't take miso. Do Rejuvilac. Things of that nature. Or what's the other one, that's out there today? There's so many. Even vinegar, things like that. I forgot to mention with the uric acid level, be sure and take apple cider vinegar. It helps so much with uric acid if the person's still on. Anyway, so Yeah, this is a food. I mean, that's the key. And it has the prebiotic and some probiotic in it, but mostly almost totally prebiotic, very, very little probiotic. It's all prebiotic to build up the beneficial bacteria within your system. And so, yeah, I see no reason why you shouldn't take prebiotics all the time. It's just a food. It's like saying, "Oh, I have cancer. I can't eat." I'm not laughing at you or judging anything of that nature, but people need to realize our product is a food. You know, it's not a vitamin. There's not one vitamin in there, and you still need to take your regular vitamins, especially right now. You know, I take a little zinc, and of course, I go out and get vitamin D, but a lot of Asians don't because they love their beautiful white skin. But I get vitamin D every day. I try to get at least 15 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes. It's essential for the immune system. They found it every COVID patient that I've seen the blood work on, low vitamin D, low vitamin D. You can take the vitamin D supplement, but it's not utilized very well. That's why milk with vitamin D is hogwash. You know? You don't get anything out of vitamin D enriched milk, very little anyway. So, you know, really important to get your zinc, your D, and a good vitamin C, you know, one that's buffered. It's the ascorbates, you know, the calcium ascorbates, sodium ascorbates, and not the ascorbic acid. You've got to get the bioflavonoids with it. We have the bioflavonoids. And so and our product has a little C in it in a food source. So you may at this point need to, you know, just go ahead and take the little extra. Be sure and get some walking in at least 3 to 4 times a week. Drink enough good pure water, and you'll be so much healthier and be able to avoid this and not be affected by this virus. So yeah, with cancer, I would surely take it. I mean, I would do prebiotics all the time because you want to keep your colon flowing, you know. Cancer feeds on toxins, but I tell you the number one food for cancer cells, sugar. Anybody with cancer needs to just avoid sugar like the plague because your cancer cells are just sitting in there going, feed me, more sugar, more sugar. You know, ours carbohydrates are complex carbohydrates that break down over a period of time. The body can utilize it that way. That's the key. And if you smoke, please stop smoking, and alcohol, at least while you have the cancer. And then in moderation, you know, you can get back into alcohol. But for the time being, you really, really need to just keep your cells as healthy, strong, and vital as possible and regenerate them. You know, the CellAge Plus is phenomenal for helping regeneration. That's what it's all about. Regenerate your cells, good, healthy cells. And that's what I said earlier too. Your body has this innate wisdom inside of it. That's where I was going earlier and I got off track. Innate wisdom where it can take a food and it can direct it where it wants to go and do what it wants to do with it. If not, we'd all die, you know? That's the key, and they've shown that. And I think it was at Cambridge in England, that your body can take in a bad food and it'll reject it. Take in a good food and the cells will just gobble it up. So know that you have that inner knowledge, we call it the innate wisdom inside you, to make the best of the food you eat.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Mark. There are 2 more questions just came in. Okay. The function of CellAge Glass is to awaken up stem cells. There are many different ingredients. Does CellAge Glass require all combined individual ingredients to have such function?
Absolutely. In fact, if you look at our research that we did, like I said, in America and in Thailand at the Princess's Hospital and at the foremost lab and clinics in America, we showed in human studies, not lab, we showed we could increase stem cells in the body by 4 times in 5 hours and continue increasing 15 days, 30 days, 60 days, up until it reached a level where it evened off, which is great. Because the problem with stem cells today is they can't control how much they give you and what your body can utilize. With this as a food, you'll feed your stem cells as much as you need to, create new ones. Then the body will just do that innate wisdom, take it, and it will put it into energy for those cells rather than build new ones. So that's the key. And we know, Dr. Steele and I spent 3-4 years developing a product that would feed the stem cells and improve it was safe.
Okay, last question for the night. Dr. Mark, can a patient take CellAge Glass when they have a very high white blood cell out of no reason?
How high?
How high, Denise? Maybe you can unmute your mic, Denise.
I'll talk while they're unmuting. You want to be somewhat.
Sorry, Dr. Mark. Actually, this the patient is my friend, a mother of a friend. She didn't know what is the reason, but her mother keep having a very high fever and admitted to hospital because of the white blood cell is very high, and the doctor also don't know what is the reason, but I don't know how high, but it keeps making the mother getting fever.
Well, there's definitely some sort of a toxin in there, a pathogen that it's fighting. So, and you might lose me here. It looks like my battery's dying, but I'd have to run into the other room to charge it. So if I lose you all, thank you, good night. But anyway, I'll answer as much as I can. This product will only build the immune system. You know, if it's not leukemia or something of that nature, and they're running amok and uncontrollable, then absolutely, because it's going to help balance the immune system. Now, it's not an antimicrobial, you know, it's not going to get rid of a bacteria or a virus or whatever it may be in there. I mean, there's so many viruses out there, there's so many bacteria, there's so many funguses and such. So it's hard to say what it could be. You know, there's malarias or dengues. I mean, we could go on and on. There's thousands and thousands. And they need to test and get down to what's causing it. And she needs to detox, as much as she can, you know, be sure and get as many of the toxins out, the colon clean, all of that. But this can only help because it's going to help regenerate good cells in the body and build the immune system to overcome, maybe on its own, what that particular imbalance may be, and the white blood cells may start going down. It'd be interesting to see her take it and see and measure the white blood cells and see what happens. And if they continue to increase, you need to cut it out. You know, say, hey, well, we don't want it to create a problem here, but we want to make sure, which I can't imagine it being, that they don't blame it on this product or they don't think that the product's causing it. But if it goes, you know, continues to escalate, then of course you need to cut it out and try to get things back in balance.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Mark. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Mark. Thank you, Denise. I think here come to the end of our Q&A session today. So thank you, Dr. Mark, for your sharing and for your stories. Okay. Okay, so I believe every one of us has got our answer. All right. So for the wrapping up, please bear in mind CellAge Glass is just food. It's just safe to consume. Phenomenal, our Dr. Mark, yeah, phenomenal and regeneration, anti-inflammatory. All right. Anything that you would like to emphasize?
You've just said it all, and that's the key, is that you have to look at this as just being a nutritional food. You know, it's not a meal replacement, but it's an enhancer of everything that your system is. We've got trillions of cells that need to be fed. They're all sitting there going, feed me, feed me. You know, it's like I said, we've got millions of stem cells that are sleeping. They're hibernating like a bear in the wintertime because they're not getting fed. We need to wake them up and we become alive. And that's the key to life.
All right. So once again, thank you, Dr. Mark, and thank you, everyone.